Gaming's Beat Matt Batrep.
Welcome back to Beat Matt Batrep episode 10. This is Deathwing vs Tyranids, a rematch of Andrew versus myself. I'm going to jump right into Tyranids turn 2. Now the very first thing we're going to do is roll for reserves. I only need to roll 3+, so this group of Gene Stealers is going to make it in. This group of Gene Stealers is going to make it in. This group of Gene Stealers will not. And the Hormagaunts will, so I'm actually doing really well, and I'm really glad that I got that Hive Commander because I got a lot of 3s here. The Zoanthropes will come in. The Trigon will not come in. The other Trigon will come in, and the Young Girl Gene Stealers will come in. So you can see there's a couple 3s there, and so that was nice to have that Hive Commander ability. Now this is the piece of area terrain I had secretly chosen before the game started. I showed Andrew on a piece of paper where I had written it down, so he knew I was not cheating. And then all the other guys were just doing their run at the same time because they have no shooting. These Gene Stealers are coming in the one flank. We did roll for the sides. And for the most part I did not have a choice, but it didn't really matter because he had guys on both sides. And these Gene Stealers are running on this side. Now he went into cover, but he made the mistake of staying on the outside of the cover, so I will not have to make a difficult terrain roll when I charge, which means my initiative will not be lowered, which means I'll be hitting on initiative 7 because of my Furious Charge. So it's just nice high initiatives here all around. The Hormagaunts are running in as well, and they're going to surround the Terminators. The idea here is that the Gene Stealers will mostly hit the Predator and back up the Hormagaunts a bit, but the Hormagaunts on their own should be able to take out 5 Terminators. But we will see what happens. Spore Pod comes in, and it lands directly where I want it to. The 2 Zoanthropes come out right in front of the Vindicators, hoping to be able to destroy one of them. Because they're a squad, they can only fire at one thing. The Trigon scatters a bit, and lands right pretty much where I wanted him to because of his special rules. Hive Tyrant moves off a bit, getting ready to engage. Opening fire now with the Trigon onto his Terminators. I do get a bunch of hits in, but of course he's got a 2+ save. He's allocating this. All of his guys get allocations because none of them are the same. And he's making all of his 2+ saves in this group. And if he hadn't made a 2+ save, there was still the 4+ in Feel No Pain. So now my Heavy Venom Cannon from the Hive Tyrant is going to fire. Gets a direct hit because the Ballistic Skill is 3. And it manages to wound, and he actually fails a save. And so one of them goes down to the Venom Cannon. He does not get to Feel No Pain because it's Strength 9. Then I do my Psychic attack against him, and it gets D3, Strength 3, AP2 hits, and I fail to wound at all, which is too bad because he would have absorbed that wound. And we got 2 Psychic tests first off from the Zoanthropes to see if they can do their Warp Lance. They make both of those. It's a 3+ to hit, and they get both hits, and manage to actually blow up the vehicle, which is awesome. Because that's usually with Zoanthropes what I've found is they come in and they just aren't as effective as they can be. The Spore Pod has to roll 5 or higher. It actually gets 4 hits out of 6 and manages to wound one of the Terminators, or a few of the Terminators, but they all make their 2+ saves. There's no armor penetration whatsoever with the Spore Pod. The Hormagaunts are then going to charge in, get theirs. These are 29 Hormagaunts, so they're going to get just shy of 90 attacks against those Terminators. And then the Gene Stealers are going to do multi-assault here. Most of them assaulting the Predator, and the rest of them assaulting the Terminators. And then the Young Girl Gene Stealers are going to charge in. They're going to take the +1 attack, because I really need to do some damage. I don't think they're going to survive when I charge them. Unfortunately, the Trigon cannot charge when he deep strikes. It's a rule that I wish they had, but he does not. And the other Gene Stealers over here charge in to the other Terminators. So first off, we're going to do the 87 attacks. We're going to do them 29 at a time. So this is the first 29. And then the second 29, and I have lost track here. I don't know how many of the 29 we've been doing. But they get to hit on 4+, rerolling 1s, and then they wound on 4s because they're Strength 4 on the charge because of their Furious Charge. So we do tons of wounds. Now this line of dice that you see are the wound allocations. So the first 5, one guy dies. The second group, he survives. They're 2+ saves, remember. Wound allocation is actually keeping him alive here because there's already a couple 1s there. The third one dies. The fourth one survives, and the last one dies. So with all those attacks, I only killed 3 out of 5 of his Terminators. Now, to be honest, I actually did not want to kill all of his Terminators because then he'd be able to fire at my guys. I'd rather them die on his turn, and then on my turn I get to charge again. So I've got 4 of the Gene Stealers attacking the Terminators, managed to do some wounds, and 4 wounds here, and he makes all of his saves. So thankfully, I did not kill all his Terminators, which sounds like a funny thing to say, but it is actually what I was hoping for. The Predator, on the other hand, I do want to kill. So I get lots of hits in there. They have Strength 5 on the charge with Rending. Got 1 glancing hit and 3 penetrating hits. It blows up, and everything within 2 inches takes a strength 3 hit, which unfortunately is 6 or 7 of my Gene Stealers. They make a couple of their saves, so only 2 of them die, and then the Predator is gone. So that's another kill point for the Tyranids. Terminators strike back against the Hormagaunts and manage to kill a couple of them, meaning they lose combat by 1, but they did not fail their armor save because they are fearless. Now the Gene Stealers are attacking the other group of Terminators and manage to kill one of them, and that might be it. So the Umgarl Gene Stealers charge in and kill one guy, and that's all they managed to do because they did not manage to get very much rending in there, which is unfortunate. So now they're going to hit back, and of course it's not looking too good for the Umgarl Gene Stealers. Now this doesn't really say anything against these Gene Stealers. Did some pretty bad rolling there, and there's only 8 of them. It's not a very large squad, and they are charging into the strongest possible squad of Terminators that Andrew has to offer. So if you're thinking of using the Umgarl Gene Stealers, it's still good. It's nice that they can just jump out of the train and charge in. So I have seen them perform better than that, but unfortunately they only managed to kill one Terminator before finally getting slaughtered. Now this group of 13 Gene Stealers is going to do all of their 39 attacks into these poor 4 Terminators that are still there. They get to re-roll their ones because they're Scything Talons, and there is a bunch of rending. So this is all the wound allocation again. The rending is actually killing the Terminators faster than the normal attacks. That's why we're pulling the other dice away, because the rending already killed them, because they only get their 5+ invulnerable save. So all 4 of them actually go down simply to the 7 rending hits. All of the other wounds weren't even really needed, because the Terminators were already dead. So now I'm going to spread out my Gene Stealers, because there's still another Vindicator, so I don't want to give him a nice tightly packed group of Gene Stealers to fire that large blast template into and destroy. And that is all the Tyranids are going to do. They do manage to get some more kill points in there. And the Deathwing now are going to have their turn. So now he's moving up. There's this big, juicy Trigon that he wants to make sure to take down, so before it has before it has a chance to charge, with its 7 attacks, all monstrous creature, and all that kind of fun stuff. So let's see if he manages to survive. The Vindicator and all the Dreadnoughts and the Landspeeders getting into position to be able to open fire as well. And of course Samuel is going to move over and he's going to help this other flank. So he's moving all those guys to the center to keep it away from all my guys who are charging from the sides. The Vindicator's firing right here. If he got a direct hit, he hits just the Spore Pod, but he only rolls a 1. He would have actually insta-killed it because it's only toughness 4. He actually wanted to scatter a bit and hit the Zone Throats because he would insta-kill them as well. But unfortunately he was not able to do that at all. So we have more shooting here on the Trigon, already taking 2 wounds just from the initial hits from the first group of Terminators. The second group are firing their Stormbolters and crack missiles into him, and he does manage to save most of them. You can see here that these are the crack missiles and they fail completely. The Dreadnought's firing through the trees, so I will get not a armor save but a cover save, and I do make that. So he's having a hard time killing the Trigon here. Manages to bring it down to 3 wounds with all of his firing, and the next Dreadnought now firing in with his twin-link blast cannon and his Stormbolter as well. And so let's see if he manages to wound. At this point I do make the save against the Stormbolters, but I do not get to make a save against his twin-link blast cannon. So he's down to 2 wounds. Now we're getting one of the Landspeeders opening fire completely on the Trigon, who fails one or more of his saves. He's now down to 1 wound. So you can see that he's not really surviving the firing. And now he's going to get hit by another Landspeeder who's hoping to finish him off. And I believe he does get a rending hit in there, so I don't even get an armor save, and he dies. Now I would be lying if I said I didn't want the Trigon, or if I actually wanted the Trigon to die. But it is nice that he did take so much firepower from the Deathwing army. This is the plasma cannon coming from Samuel and firing. It scatters a bit, hits the Gene Stealer and the Spore Pod, manages to wound them both. They do get cover saves, but they fail both of them. So the Spore Pod does take a wound, and the Gene Stealer does go down. So the Trigon survived, took lots of hits. He didn't manage to do much damage to the Gene Stealers or the Zone Throat, so hopefully that'll really come back to be able to use them against him. And now these last few hits, these are mostly rending hits against these 2 Terminators, and they finally go down, which means they go down on his turn, which means I get to consolidate and then charge in during my turn, which is exactly what I was hoping to get. Didn't want as many of my Gene Stealers to die from the exploding Predator as to happen, but it was an acceptable loss if you really look at what I did lose compared to him. So now we are at the end of round 2. Let's take a quick recap of everything that's happened. You can see both flanks I have destroyed. He's pulled all his guys to the center, meaning that my guys are going to have to foot slog it all the way over there, which means he will get more shooting than I would like. so that he'll be able to kill my guys before I'll get to him. But I have already managed to get 4 kill points, and he's gotten 4 of mine. 2 groups of Hormagaunts, Gene Stealers, and the Trigon as well. So stay tuned for round 3. Again, in the comments, put who you think is going to win now based off of round 2 results, and see then in the subsequent rounds if you're right.
Visit miniwargaming.com to see our videos 1 month early.